What's up, guys? Stephen One Boy Thompson.
It's the IBS champion, Earl Smith Jr.
This is Cynthia Calvio.
Hi, this is Michaela Mayer.
This is Derek the Black Beast Lewis.
This is Daniel Miracle Man Jacob. Shout out to Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to
the Slip and Dip podcast
With your boy Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Woo! Episode 50. Slip and Dip podcast. Kendrick Johnson, Matthew Wells. Got an action-packed show. Having our 50th guest on our 50th show. Abner Mares fighting the big fight against Leo Santa Cruz on June 9th is coming in. And in 3 weeks from today, coming at you a little early on a Saturday, our man JoJo Diaz from Golden Boy Promotions will take on Mr. Gary Russell in Washington, D.C. for the 126-pound WBC champion. Matt, pumped up, man. We didn't think we could get through 2 shows, let alone 50.
Yeah, man. Yeah, to be at 50 already is kind of shocking, man. I mean, it's been an incredible ride we've been on. Considering we didn't have our first guest until episode number 10. Mr. Kevin Lee was the first guest ever on the Slip and Dip podcast. And like as you've said, we've gone on 50th episode and we've had 50 guests. So, you know, a lot of production, a lot of talking to a lot of different fighters, a lot of interviews. Shout out to everybody that listens to the show, follows these interviews, and reports the news from some of these interviews that we actually get out. So, you know, we try to keep our ear to the game, going directly to the fighters, not by hearsay. So, you know, thank you for everyone that's joined the show so far. So, can I run down the list real quick for everybody?
Shoot them out. Shoot them names out.
All right, we're gonna run down the list real quick.
Behind the scenes, your boy producing skills.
Well, let's run down the list. So first off, we have all the fighters, and these are in no particular order of importance
Thanks
whatsoever.
to everybody. Shouts out.
So thanks to everybody on this 50th episode. We're gonna give a little shout out to everybody so far. So first, run down the fighters that have been on the show so far. Michelle Watterson, Corey Anderson, Aljamain Sterling, Kamaru Usman, Stephen Thompson, Chris Weidman, Neil Magny, Max Griffin, Angela Hill, Drew Dober, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Lewis Smoka, Shauna Dobson, Bilal Muhammad, Mark De La Rosa, Montana De La Rosa, Michaela Mayer, Tisha Torres, Raquel Pennington, James Vick, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, Ovent St. Preux, Cynthia Calvillo, Demetrius Johnson, The GOAT, Uriah Faber, Juliana Pena, Hall of Famer, Uriah Faber, Juliana Pena, Bubba McDaniel, Chael Son, and Paulie Malignaggi. Kevin Lee, as already mentioned, and on today's episode, Abner Mares and Joseph Diaz. Now, trainers, we've had Javier Mendez, Dean Thomas, also a former fighter, Angelo Reyes, Dwayne Ludwig, Derek James, Jason Perillo, Stephen Wright, Dewey Cooper, and Trevor Whitman. And, of course, our fellow journalists in the game covering the sports from all angles as well. Once again, in no particular order, so don't at me, people. Jose Youngs, Lance Pugmire, John Anik, Dan Tom, Danny Austin, Scoop B, John Morgan, Karen Bryant, and our man George Kennebrew. Quite a list of names there. We only continue to hope to bring you more names and repeat guests as well as these guys continue to ball out in their career. So, yeah. I want to hear from people. I want to hear from people that have listened to the show, you know, from day one. What was your favorite interview? You know, shoot me an email, not an email. Shoot me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I want to know what everybody's favorite interview that we've had so far is. I can go by the YouTube views and tell which ones have been the most popular. But I want to know if there's a favorite one out there for anybody.
Top 2, Kevin Lee and Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, a behind-the-scenes joke, has helped us step up our game and take the show to another level.
Yeah.
Shout out Black Beast. We might be hollering at you in H-Town. We're going to take you up on that invitation, brother.
Yeah, right. There's been quite a few that, I mean, all of them are special to me in a different way because, you know, you pick up a lot of stuff. You get to learn a lot more about these guys in particular. We try to ask those questions, know just a little bit more about them and, you know, what's going on in their lives too. But I don't know, like, guys that like made me laugh like the whole time, like Deontay Wilder, like had me rolling the whole time. Man, guys, and then you have like the flip side. You got guys that are like so humble, and you know, like Neil Magny, he's just a cool dude through and through. Kamaru Usman's like intense, you know. it's crazy, man, talking to these guys. And
then the knowledge from Mr. Steve Wright. Every time I talk to Steve, I learn something I didn't think I thought I knew even better, or I learned something I didn't even know existed via a fight or how such and such go down, why such and such gonna lose, and he's highly right at a high level.
yeah,
he's very
absolutely.
accurate.
Very, very knowledgeable as well. Dean Thomas always keeps it real. He's actually probably one of my favorite ones to talk to. I mean,
Trainer Park comedian.
I'm not trying to call out favorites here, but Dean keeps it 100 all the time. So always fun to talk to Dean.
And our man Dewey with one of the best quotes of the Slipping In podcast. You know how we live in that Trump era.
Yeah, he throws it out there, gives you the real. But I mean, that's what it is, people. I mean, we try to bring people on the show every week, and we hope to continue to do that and keep growing the show. But like Kendrick mentioned, today we do have Abner Mares, Joseph Diaz, all boxing, and some big boxing fights too. So
we got news to report. PBC calls me up. Bling! Hey man, we like the stuff you're doing, man. Here goes some inside information. We about to make an offer to Joshua so that when he turned it down, we know he don't want the fight. Couple hours later, Deontay Wilder's team offers Anthony Joshua $50 million guaranteed up front for heavyweight championship fight of the world to go down this year, 2018. Still hadn't heard back from Mr. Joshua and more importantly, Mr. Eddie Hearn on if they accept the offer or not.
Must be nice to be in a line of work where you can turn down $50 million guaranteed. I'll just say that much. I will just say that much. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. That's a fight that needs to happen. I don't care what the terms are. Just make it happen.
But the thing is, I'm gonna say the fighters are not scared of each other, but Eddie Hearn is very scared. That's his cash cow. It's almost like the reason why Canelo and Triple G don't fight no Charlo brothers. They worried about that.
Yeah,
the promoters are worried about that. Like Canelo, for his part, Mexican fighter, very hard nosed. I'll fight them tomorrow. I'm not scared of nobody. I scared the lawyer. Hold on. That's why we don't see as many good fights as we want, because these promoters be the ones calling the shots, not the fighters.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that's kind of soured a lot of people to boxing over the years. Is all the things that go on behind the scenes that kind of keep us from having the best fights ever. Just all the business side of things that gets tied up. The promotions, the channels, all these things can be roadblocks. We see a little bit of that in MMA too. Where you got the top guys in like a Bellator, the top guys in a ONE or a Worlds or a PFL, soon to be PFL. That want to fight the top guys in UFC. Prime example would be this weekend, or tonight actually, as we're coming to you on a Saturday. We finally get to see Fedor face Frank Mir. It's about 10 years too late.
Why am I making a big deal about this fight that was cool in 2008?
Because it never happened. So people still want to see it. Yes,
why
way past the time. It's way past the time.
Senior citizens fight. I don't get the phenomenon.
They still got.
Are both these dudes over 40? Frank Mir, I'll tell you that back. Frank Mir's not 40, but Frank Mir, he has the body of a 40-year-old. The wear and tear he's been in.
He looked better than Fedor in weigh-ins.
I'm talking about just the mileage he's had put on his body.
Yeah, they both had a ton of mileage, and they've both taken a crazy amount of damage over their career too. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think, but I mean, my point is though, like we kind of see it in the UFC, like where between Fedor's camp and UFC's camp, they couldn't come to terms, so we never got to see Fedor in the UFC. So it's just one of those things that happens in boxing, that happens in MMA. But again, Bellator is getting that Fedor Mir fight tonight. So I'll be watching just because, hey, why not? It's something fun. Neither of these guys are fighting for a serious championship anytime soon. I mean, they are fighting in the World Grand Prix, so the Bellator tournament. But, they're not going to be fighting any UFC heavyweights, any of these young guns. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a good fight still, though, I think. Maybe for as long as it lasts. It could be over in 2 seconds, or it could be, a 3-round war, 5-round war, however long these fights are going. I don't know. Are they doing 5 rounds? I don't know.
Nah, hey, you're the Bellator expert.
I know I'm not.
I'm not gonna say I'm anti-Bellator, but
no, I'm not.
I can't. I think I'll almost go on for record. Bellator will be out of business in 2 years or less.
Bellator's problem is, man, in 2018 you cannot have a sporting event and have it tape delayed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense for a network to support it and for the network to not want to air it live. Is just baffling to me. is baffling. I don't understand why that's even a question. That should have been a non-negotiable from day one. Be like, yes, every event will be live. Like, you giving me tape delays, bro? You expecting people to withhold spoilers in 2018
and then
in the world of Twitter?
They're overpaying for people like Rampage. Want to get him on the show, but come on now, Rampage hasn't been relevant since 2010.
He's still a big name. He's still gonna get people to draw.
But he's worth $1 million, or what are they? They close to what they're paying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guarantee you fighting UFC, you ain't making that money.
That's the UFC, and UFC underpays people. We know that. I would argue that Bellator pays people more to their true worth up front than UFC does.
I think they overpay.
Nah, I don't.
They're on the other end.
A lot of these guys are underpaid across the board, man. A lot of these guys are underpaid across the board. I don't want to get into that whole argument, but yeah, it's just a sad thing. I don't know. I mean, Bellator's got a decent card tonight. I mean, a lot of guys with some hype.
Are you watching the whole card, or are you just watching the main event?
Yeah, I'll be watching the whole card. Dylan Dennis is on there. Gerald Harris coming in and late.
That's Gerald Harris from the Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
I ain't know what happened to Kid Folk.
Yeah, he's back, man. He's back. Neiman Gracie, Emmanuel Sanchez, Sam Cecilia, UFC vet. I mean, it's a decent card. It's worth watching for sure. But yeah, that's what that is. No UFC this weekend. No UFC until the next pay-per-view. And I kind of like that, though. You know, I like how the UFC will do it to where it's like, hey, we're going to do show, and then a couple weeks, and then a pay-per-view. Maybe I should promote it a little bit more. UFC 224, Pennington versus Nunes.
I think Nunes, man, I think she's gonna be in for a rude awakening.
I think it's gonna be a damn good fight. Raquel's confidence is through the roof. She's got that calm confidence.
I wouldn't underestimate her. That's a tough lady.
Yeah.
Tough lady with a big heart, great person. Shout out. We try to get her on, but can't work out with her schedule. Win or lose, though, she's definitely a friend of the show. Always a show both of us love.
Yeah.
I remember seeing her. The first time I met her was leading up to the Holly Holm fight. She basically, man, if I can get through this week, because that was her first time on the big stage, I'll be okay. And ever since that fight, she's been a different fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, she was one of the first fighters I spoke to in person ever. UFC fighters, that is. In person ever.
Who was the first big star you met? I already told you mine's. He's been on the show, the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Uriah Faber. Even when I'm out around, he gives you shout-outs. That's my guy. That guy's like the guy, pound for pound. I went from being like, who's this random brother showing up to fights to, man, Uriah likes you?
Right. Yeah, Uriah's cool, man.
Great person. Cool. Shout out California Kid, Team Alpha Male. Man, we got to start making these gyms. We got an open invite Sacramento. Now we got one to Derek Lewis. We got people want us to go watch them go hunting.
I mean, if we could get some sponsors for this show that could help cover some of these things, that'd be awesome. But you know, the hunting trip sounds so intriguing. It really does. Like, that would be something nobody has. Nobody has that. You know, just go out there and do a little Kendrick and Matt version of UFC Embedded or UFC Countdown with Corey Anderson and Justin Gaethje doing some hunting. That'd be something special.
That's crazy
to have out there on the internet. But you know, it is what it is. We'll see. So yeah, if anybody's out there interested in sponsoring the show, love to hear from you. Hit us up on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, all the handles are right there on the screen for you. At Slip and Dip Podcast, at Kendrick John So on Twitter, me at Mr. M Wells Arts. You know. And if you listen to the show, obviously you found us somewhere, but tell your friends. Find us on YouTube, Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, all those good spots. Kendrick, man, what else do you want to get into before we get into these interviews with Abner Mares and JoJo Diaz?
The combat sports landscape is prime. What we see today in UFC and in boxing will be completely different. What we talking about come August. It's been August. All the talking's gonna be done. We got a lot of championship fights coming up in boxing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then UFC got 2 big pay-per-views that's gonna change. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to 226. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go out there. Be on the lookout for your boy's piece. Little spoiler alert. Working on a big piece with Black Champions for the UFC that will be on ESPN Undefeated with Demetrius Johnson, of course the great Daniel Cormier, and Tyron Woodley, and trying to get some one-on-one scenes. So we're working behind the scenes to make that happen.
What about John Jones?
He ain't a champion right now. He's great in this. John Jones, to me, regardless of what you say, you have to put him in the top 5. I would say preferably top 3.
I think that would be
because from what I know personally, behind the scenes, and I fact check, not throwing people out there, but out of all the great champions in the last 2 decades, or UFC's only been around 2 decades, the only one I can say that's 100% clean is Cormier and Stipe. Yeah. That's the only one. That's like in all the big. I'm talking about big divisions, like from middleweight up. Okay. Or even welterweight up. Everybody has a cloud of controversy, or I've had people that are been in their camps. It's like would go unofficial record. Oh, he was taking something. This going back to the early years, and he's the Cormier and Stipe, the only ones I have not heard nothing remotely associated with it, or even had like I call it a false positive. Shout out to JDS. I feel bad for a guy like that. Hey, ain't no superheroes there. Oh, he gets fought, but then it's not his fault, and nobody. Right. Oh, we're sorry, bro.
Yeah, even after the loss.
We're sorry, bro. That's all he gets.
Yeah, to have that happen after the loss too is kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm glad to see that get resolved too, because that was
yeah, that ruined people's reputation. Canelo, a lot of people in the boxing thing. He gonna do the hair sample and we're working on the scenes to get Canelo's people on. They told me we're gonna do everything. We're transparent. We made a mistake, but we were not trying to cheat. He's not trying to cheat, so hopefully this changes perception. We know that he was not trying to cheat. They did what they're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Unlike other people in UFC, they don't do what they're supposed to do. Like the John Jones stuff, you can say what you want to say. That was still questionable. The thing about John Jones, I would say, is the first time technically was a false positive, and this time, for them to have been that hardcore, there still has not been any confirmation. People don't know that. And then, but you see people like Anderson Silva.
There's a reason for that, though.
But how come somebody Anderson Silva, there's been confirmation?
There's a reason for that.
I'm just
John
saying.
Jones is one of the best fighters in the world. They're going to try to make any and all.
I'm saying, but USADA supposed to not care. Like, they ain't came out, hey, Anderson Silva, you were the GOAT. We know you were cheating, and this is why. John Jones has not been confirmed, like, 100%. And, like, that dude, Jeff Nowitzki, was breaking it down and said that he has a legit case.
Yeah, of course he does, because he's John Jones. And he can get away with something like this. like we said when we had Karen on, it's just, it doesn't matter if it's the 5th time John is messed up or the 25th time. We're always going to be there, and we're going to be like, oh yeah, he's back. So, it's just one of those things where, just like with Conor, like you have Dana go a complete 180. Like,
not necessarily. Dana never did say, "Hey, he's not gonna be part of the UFC," like he has with other folks.
he was gung ho on being like, "This is the worst thing ever in the sport," and then the very next day, he's like, "Oh, there's other stuff that happens in other sports that's worse."
Yeah, but he never did say he wouldn't. But he never said he wasn't gonna never put him on.
Of course he's not. He's the biggest draw in the sport. He's not gonna
so
kick him out of
the
the
UFC. He ain't that bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like if Conor McGregor, who was I listening to the other day that said this? I forget. I'm sorry, but it was one of the podcasts I was listening to. They said, now, flip stances, and imagine Conor McGregor was on that bus and Ray Borg was the guy that went through the dolly, through the thing, and then busted up, got glass in Conor's eye. Ray Borg would be so far banned from the UFC, he wouldn't even be able to say UFC without getting fined. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. Yeah, I mean, we see that. There's so many examples of that across any sport, throughout in history. If you're the top dog, you get away with so much crap, man.
But here's the thing, though. People be so up in arms. If you feel that bad, don't watch the sport, then.
That has nothing to do with it.
If you feel that mad,
that has nothing to do with it about not watching the sport.
But what good is it to get up in arms if you're not going to watch them?
Because it's consistency, and it's about doing the right thing. It's like not watching the sport has nothing to do with it.
But you say doing the right thing. They don't do the right things. So it's kind of like it's not going to change. So why they up in arms?
Obviously, because everybody knows why. I mean, it's just like, okay, yeah, it's because it's Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor is going to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars for your company. So you know what? We're going to figure out to slap his wrist and get him back in the octagon soon.
I still say he fights 2.5. Give him three more fights ever in the UFC, and that's it. He has to come back for 2. I got sources that said that's part of the Mayweather deal. He has to come back for 2. Or he has to pay them a good, like, 40, 45. Basically, half his money goes to UFC and company. He ain't going to do that, so he has to fight 2. I say he fights 3 fights, and then he calls it a career.
Yeah, that was my theory from the get-go.
That's not theory. I know for a fact he has to fight 2 fights.
I know, but I'm saying, like, that was my theory from the jump. is that when all of this stuff started heating up, I was like, the only way that they can do this is that they have to put something in there to guarantee that he comes back to UFC. Because why would you ever want to fight again after making that much money? Like, you were receiving money from your government in Ireland, like, 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you cash checks for hundreds of millions of dollars, and all of a sudden, getting punched in the face ain't that cool of an idea anymore. I don't know. That's just me, though.
I didn't even think it was cool anyway.
Yeah, no.
Getting hits never cool, people. Getting hits never cool.
But a quick note. Have you seen Notorious, the documentary?
I'm not saying.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
You know, you're the movie man out of us.
Yeah, if anybody hadn't seen it on Netflix, or you have seen it on Netflix, I thought it was damn good. I loved how they went further back than I thought. Like, he's had a camera crew around him for forever, it seems.
But that's who let him in. I told you out there. That's how I let him into the Barclays Center.
Yeah, have we heard about any repercussions on them?
Nah, I don't think legally it's not. He don't have to come back to America to June 14th. I think the criminal aspect is minor.
No, I'm talking about
the civil suit.
No, I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about for the people that let them in the building.
They got banned that week. Like, they weren't even at 223. They were
okay.
they were ASAP. Lanaine, them, shout out to the PR team for taking care of us. They got rid of them. Boom.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were not there at 223. That Thursday, that was their last appearance.
Okay. All right.
But it's funny. I was looking at throwback stuff from him, and I was there at 217 when he whooped up on Eddie Alvarez. It seemed like he embraces that New York thing and does something crazy. Because remember when he came out with Diaz, he picks up the chair, shakes up Eddie Alvarez, and then takes his belt on Saturday night.
That was the only thing. Like, in that documentary, like, they covered like his early stuff, like, in depth, and like a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff, like, you know, that was awesome. But then it kind of like, when things really, really, really start to heat up, that like propels him into this next level. It's like when it gets to like the Eddie fight, and then when it gets to Floyd Mayweather, like, all that stuff is almost like footnotes at the end. You know, it really is. Like, the only mention of Floyd fight was they literally put the text on the screen and then showed a still shot of him with his hands raised walking in. Though. Yeah, they mentioned that, of course, but it's like, you know, a lot of that build up was really hype. You know, they showed a couple of clips from the press conference, like, real quick, or like the World Tour thing, you know, a couple of clips from that, but it was almost like a footnote at the very end. But anyways, that's that. Let's get into these interviews, man. Episode 50, Abner Mares, Joseph Diaz, coming to you live inside of Trader Joe's, filling up shopping cart. Knocking out the interview. It's good stuff, though. You guys are going to enjoy it. If you're not familiar with these two cats, you will be after the interview. So hopefully we make fans out of you. So enjoy.
Welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, making his Slip and Dip debut. WBA featherweight champion Abner Mares and his world-renowned trainer Luis Garcia. What y'all doing, guys, out there in sunny California?
Doing good, man. We're doing good. We're here in Huntington Beach, just finishing up a good little sound workout that we do every Saturday during camp. And, you know, just here enjoying the weather, you know, enjoying the nice view right now.
Abner, are you prepared to go to war this time, or are you going to fight a more technical fight, being that we all know about that war that y'all had a couple years ago? I was there live and in person. It's one of the most brutal fights I've ever seen.
Well, I'm ready to go to war, period, you know, regardless if it's a technical win. If I come in more of a intelligent type of way. But, I mean, it's kind of difficult against a guy with, you know, like Leo. He's a hard worker. He's a volume puncher. So, either way, you gotta have really good conditioning. And I'm just ready to give you guys a good fight.
What did you learn from that crazy fight? Because it kind of was like 3 fights in one. You came out strong. He kind of took care in the middle, and then it was like a war the last 5 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I made a big mistake, which was, you know, I came out strong, I came out good, but then somehow my corner tried to tell me to box him a bit, and I did, but I stayed at his distance, and then by the time I tried to go back inside, it was too late, and I just didn't have the energy and the endurance to do that. I mean, just even though I still made it an interesting fight, a competitive fight, but again, just not the fight I wanted to.
Yeah, you're talking about, you know, you have to have that conditioning. up at peak levels. I mean that's kind of an understatement, man. If anybody watches that fight, you almost get tired watching the fight. Like you're wondering how these guys can do this for so long. I mean, so like what's some of the changes? I guess have you made any changes training wise going into the second matchup?
Definitely. I mean, we know that the conditioning is going to be key. Great shape and just being more strategic. Being more intelligent, making changes as far as just thinking in there. Not so much being a wild brawler, throwing a lot. Um, Anyone could do that, but just being me, which is a smart fighter.
Absolutely. And I guess one of the things is like you said, being smart. I mean, there was like quite a few times in that fight where it was just like it seemed like you guys were like, forget a game plan. We're just gonna throw wild flurries for this next 10, 15 seconds, and then we'll reset and figure out where we're at. So I mean, I guess avoiding those types of exchanges, is that kind of gonna be a focus this time around?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna it's gonna be hard to do that, but yes, the key obviously try to avoid that, because that's basically his fight. His fight is staying in the pocket, throwing, and he's gonna beat you no matter what because he's a bowling puncher. He just throws. He can close his eyes and throw and land if you're in front of him. So I just gotta work angles and just be smart.
Luis, give some insight into Abner's diet, because my co-host, we cover UFC and we cover boxing, and it's crazy how these people in the MMA world be having these 25-pound weight cuts in a week. As we see, Abner, like, he's on weight right now. What do y'all do that's completely different, and how do you think that could be a universal in combat sports? Because y'all don't do that craziness that is the UFC.
Well, obviously 25 pounds over, that's a lot of weight. You don't want to ever have to cut that much weight because it'll definitely take a lot out of you, come fight night. But we do train a little bit over our fight weight. You can never really be on fight weight because if you are or too close to it, what's going to happen is, the day of the fight, you're going to be a lot smaller than the guy in front of you. So we try to be strategic about when we lose weight, what weight we spar at and where we're comfortable sparring. And I mean, like Abner and I have been around for 10 years working together, so we've already predetermined, throughout all these camps, is like where he feels comfortable at, where he has the most energy, where we can put the work output in, and what our diet needs to look like. And Abner's he's a professional, man. He's a champion. He's a 2 champion, and he takes care of his work and does his work and goes about it very professionally. So it makes it easy on me. But yeah, those 25 pound weight cuts, man, that's a lot of weight, man. Nobody should be doing that.
Yeah. Does it kind of shock you? Like, I mean, obviously that's something kind of foreign in the boxing world. You never hear about those extreme weight cuts, but like, I'm not sure how much you guys pay to MMA and the UFC fighters and stuff like that. But when you hear about those guys doing that and then competing after stepping on the scale after extreme dehydration, like, as a trainer, like, what does that make you think about?
That they're just not doing things right. I mean, they're just not. I mean, there's a lot of things that they're not doing right. I think in UFC it's going to be a little bit different. Their training's a little bit different. Their conditioning's slightly different. And then, obviously, when you're looking at a fighter that's younger, he can bounce back. It's kind of like bouncing back from a hangover. When you're 35, as opposed to bouncing back from a hangover at 21. I mean, your body just bounces back a little easier over a period of a day, 24 hours. But I mean, that's just not healthy, and that's not something that can be sustainable. Not mentally, obviously neurologically, just because of the wear and tear it's not healthy. It's not healthy. I mean, you see the fighters that have trouble cutting weight or making weight, and then dehydrate really bad, and then go into the fight and take a beating. I mean, that wears on them mentally. All that impact, all that concussion. I mean, then those are the guys that start mumbling after a few fights. So. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to stay healthy and long term, and we try to avoid all those healthy imbalances, unhealthy imbalances.
Here's an inside question, Abner. Because last time I remember on media day, y'all said that it's gonna be great action in the ring and great action in the stands. Are you expecting the same thing? Because I'm in the Staples Center a good 12, 13 times. I ain't never seen as many fights in the stands as I saw the first time y'all fought.
I mean, that's going to be hard to avoid because we're both from the same place. We're both fighting for our city. street rap, I guess. I come from the streets, and a lot of my followers are what you call their hood, and believe it or not, they get hot, especially one of my brothers. My brother, he's a big supporter. He boxes himself, Speedy. Big shout out to my brother Speedy, and he said, Abner, I'm taking 20 deep, and whatever happens. I'm like, bro, don't watch the fight, and whatever happens after, I don't care. But I don't want you to get kicked out before the fight. But they're already going in with that mentality. People just get too excited, man. But yeah, you're right. There was so many fights I heard. One of them I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but one of the big fights that happened outside was one of my sisters. She was 17 at the time, and she got into a brawl with this older lady that was just making fun of Team Mares, and my sister couldn't take it, and she had to put a beat down.
Are you gonna have Big Swole then with you? Your boys from Vegas?
I'm sorry?
You gonna have Big Swole then with you? Your security team? Antonio and them?
Big Swole.
Huh?
Beastful.
Oh, Beastful, that's my boy. Yeah, they're coming. Yeah, they're gonna be here for sure, man. They're family.
But people don't know he is the best.
Many times I fought there, and we became really close. And he was here for my birthday in November last year, and he's gonna be here for this big fight.
Yeah, well, for people who don't know who Big Swole is, one of the coolest guys I got Antonio out there in Vegas. If you need some security, he's the man with the plan. Him and his co-host. Nobody gets up on Abner. You try them, it'll be your first and last time.
Hey, it's crazy. That's crazy. I can't get for the life of me why people want to try to do that. Especially in the stands, I get wanting to support your guy. Be up there, cheer for him, get all rowdy and stuff. But you guys are getting paid big dollars to throw hands with each other. Whereas if you're sitting in the crowd, you paid for that seat. So I don't understand it.
Why jeopardize that, right? Man, you just paid this much money for this seat and you're getting kicked out. That's hey, I gotta take advantage of this. I gotta put Big Swole on the spot. Big Swole, I'm sorry, man, but like I said, my birthday was in November 28th last year. I had a big birthday party, and there was this big brawl, big fight. Someone was trying to fight me, whatever. And I was looking for my boy Big Swole. Where's he at? Where's my security guard? Man, he was waiting. They had to take off. I called him the next day, man, where were you? He was like, bro, I had to leave early. Oh, man.
But talking about all the fights in the stands, I mean, this guy kind of goes to show the emotion and electric atmosphere that these two guys produce, especially when they got such a amazing fan base, both of them, and they go in there and perform and put on a great show. And I don't think it's going to be anything less than that.
That's what it is.
Whether it's a smarter fight, whether it's a brawl, whether it's whatever, man, these guys are going to be in shape and expect the best and fireworks and all the good stuff.
Abner, would you say this is a legacy fight? You need this for your legacy and to force that trilogy?
You can say that, but it's more honestly, it's just more of a personal fight for myself, knowing that I could beat this guy the first time and I just didn't because I fought the wrong game plan, and now I'm getting the second opportunity at it. So this is more of a personal, type of fight. But yeah, legacy too, because I am fighting one of the top dogs. If anything, I think they have him as the #1 featherweight champion, at the moment, and he's the guy to beat, alongside Gary Russell and Frampton.
Absolutely. Now, how much does it mean to you, to fight in California? I mean, obviously, the second time this fight's going down, both of them having a Staples Center. But how much does the location of the fight matter to you, or is that something that it doesn't even come across to you in your mind?
Yeah, of course. I mean, fighting at home is just it's just fighting at home it's great. You ain't gotta pack bags. You ain't gotta fly nowhere. You could take your own personal car to the arena. It's just great. Yeah, I love it.
Sleep in your own bed and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny because I hear sometimes guys, they need to get away. They need to get out of the hometown.
Yeah, not me, man. I don't do training camps as far as moving out. I don't do mountains. I don't do none of that. I'm a family man. I can't be away from my kids. I can't be away from my family. If anything, that brings me down. I've done it before, and it's just I can't.
It's kind of productive.
Yeah, it is, honestly.
Speaking of family, I heard your wife's makeup line's doing good. Nicole's makeup line's booming out there, and y'all winning in and outside the ring.
Thank you for asking. She's actually, I'm really happy for her. Come May, June, she's gonna wait for me. But second week of June, she's gonna open up another store inside a mall. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for her. So we're gonna bring all that good energy and that all that hype after the fight, God willing, win the fight, to her store also.
That's cool. Luis, do you have any other big time fighters you work with?
Not right now. Right now, it's just my focus is Abner. But yeah, I mean, I have worked with other fighters. Obviously, being part of Ward's camp for a while, Andre Berto, Khan's camp, and in the past, obviously, other fighters. But right now, this is a man, and I ain't trying to look for anybody else right now.
you talked about the featherweight division, Abner. Who do you think will win that Gary Russell and JoJo Diaz? We're gonna have him on the show later.
It's a good fight. It's a really good fight, competitive fight. They're both talented. I know people talk about Gary Russell's talent a lot, and obviously there's no question about it. He's super talented, but talent can wear out, especially if you don't use it as much as he does. He doesn't. I'm sorry. He fights like once every 2-3 years, and seriously, and that's just a waste of talent. And now you have a young kid as JoJo Diaz that's hungry, that is in his moment. He's getting the opportunity of his lifetime, and he's been active. So I think it's gonna be one of those chess type of matches where two talented fighters are just gonna try to pick their punches and get the win. So, but I'm edging JoJo in this fight because of the youth, and he's been more of the active fighter.
Absolutely. So one thing I heard in a recent interview, Santa Cruz said he plans to, he said rather that your more approach that he's heard about your approach to pick your shots a little bit more this time around. He says that's going to work out better for him. So what's your response to that?
We'll see fight night.
Bring it.
We'll see fight night. I mean, one thing saying it and another thing doing it. If anything, believe it or not, he's a pressure fighter if you let him be a pressure fighter. How do I explain that? If I sit there and trade with him, yes, I'm gonna get tired, and it's gonna be a tiring fight. But if I pick and choose my punches, and move wisely, I mean, it should be a fun fight.
Did you learn anything from him from the second time he fought Frampton? Because I think that's the best version of Santa Cruz we've seen. What he had to do to get that belt back when he fought him the second time, or do you think you can out beat that version?
I think I could be that version and outbox that version. Frampton, he's a great fighter. He fought smart that first time he beat him. I was also surprised how Leo came back the second time. I ain't gonna lie. So, but I'm not taking that fight as an example. Like I'm not trying to watch that fight and redo what he did. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm better than what Frampton did, and it's just gonna show come June 9th.
You guys never know what kind of Abner's going to come out. I mean, if you guys have been a fan of Abner for years, as I've been working with him for years, I've seen Abner go out there and fight the very best, fight after fight after fight. And every time I saw him in the ring, I saw him doing a different kind of fight or fighting a different kind of way. So what Abner you're going to get fight night, I think sometimes is even a surprise to the corner.
I mean, why is that though? Is it the opponent? Is it the crowd? Is it the atmosphere? Or is it? Just
I think Abner's his own fighter, and I think he realizes what he has to do in the ring. He's always found a way to win, and even some of the tougher fights. And so he goes in there, and he's got his natural ability to change on a and turn on a dime and just kick it up and do what he's got to do to win the fight, whether he had the right advice from the corner or not. Obviously not taking anything from Robert, because I think right now he's got a very solid corner, but in the past maybe some of those things showed up where he wasn't getting all the proper advice.
For sure. I get that. I guess it's kind of tough, but I guess it's also very good to be able to adapt to those situations and just be able to, I guess even keep your opponent on edge too, because they don't know they don't know which
I
fighter.
I think it speaks worlds of Abner, if anything. That he can be go in there and be a different fighter. A lot of guys they are who they are. They don't have that athleticism or that depth in their game to make any kind of changes, and this guy can. So what to expect from him? I mean, it's a toss up, So bring it, all right?
And I'm gonna shift gears on you. What's your take on Mr. Tank Davis, who basically thinks he's the best featherweight in the world?
What's my take on Tank Davis?
Yeah,
super. He's a good fighter. He's proven it. He's a young fighter. I called him out. When was it? Press conference when they asked me if I were to move up, who would I like to face? I said I would like to face Tank Davis, and honestly, I would. I mean, who wouldn't? I like to fight the best. So if he's the best at that weight class, I would love to get a chance at him. That's all I gotta say.
We know you're very meticulous with your career and your day-to-day life. How much time we gonna see you in the ring? How many more fights you got left in you?
I see myself doing it solid. Being honest, solid 3 years, which is 2, 4, 6, 7 fights.
Okay. And then we're gonna see you in that suit like when we be chilling when you be doing your broadcast duties. It's gonna be your full-time gig.
If I get the opportunity, of course, yeah.
For sure. I think it's kind of interesting, to hear fighters, that have that plan laid out of like, yeah, I know what I'm gonna do while I'm in the game, but I also know when I want to get out because I have all these other things that I could pursue and make sure you still got your mental health and all those kind of things in line.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the main goal for you? Is it the mental health, or is it just the pursuit of other businesses, or what's the reason that you kind of have that plan laid out for yourself?
I mean, my goal, securing my family, my goal, leaving a legacy in the sport. And my other goal, obviously, leaving healthy and pursuing other things like, as you mentioned, the commentating world, sticking in the boxing industry as a manager, co-promoting, things like that. Things that because I've seen other fighters, doing the restaurant business, doing things that they're not really familiar with, and it doesn't go as well. But I would like to stick with something that I'm familiar with, and I got the people behind me, you could say, that could help me with in this case. Thank God I got Al Heyman, I got Richard Schaefer, I got a great team behind me that who are always there, and I made a lot of relationships and good friends in this boxing world.
We know, besides being a boxer, that you're a fan of the sport. What do you think about your boy Canelo and the dirty meat and all that craziness?
Well, he came out negative now, right?
Yeah.
He got a hair sample and it came out negative. So that's why I never thought, when it first happened, and then my press conference was announced and I was there, people tried to ask me about the situation. I said I have no comment, because you don't know anything until you really get everything already set. And if you're talking shit, talking, no, you came out positive, I knew it, I seen pictures, you're gonna end up looking bad. Look what happened now. You came out negative for all that. So how does that make everybody else look? So I said, I have no comment. The truth will come out, and now it did. And all I can say is that I'm happy for him, because that's his name that that was on there, and his legacy, and then I'm glad he cleared it.
Luis, from a trainer's perspective, what how do you avoid that? Because you think somebody with people that have done well in the sport like Abner and Canelo could just eat American meat and don't even get themselves mixed in all that, or is it more complicated than that?
I didn't understand the question. What was the question?
I said, with people that establish like Abner and Canelo and stuff, would you think it'd be easy to even keep from putting yourself in that situation with the whole meat?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been something that's happened in the past, and I think as a world class athlete, you need to make sure that you take that into account. I think it's something that's happened before. I think Morales had that, and a couple other fighters have come out positive. They kind of brushed it under the rug and let those fighters continue on with their career, and they with just a slap on the wrist. And so I think it wasn't something that they were like really concerned with. It was just like, I guess it could happen, but we don't need to watch out for it. I think now going forward, his team and other teams, that do reside in Mexico are going to be a little bit more careful with that. But I'm not saying I'm pretty sure they're careful about other aspects of even supplementation. I know we are. We watch really closely what we take, and if it's a reputable company, and if it's not, then we don't take it. Because we don't know what's in it. Some of these supplement companies will put things in there to make people feel good, and they don't know why. It's a banned substance, but once they get popped on it, I mean, by that time they've already sold 30, 40 million, made their money, they get a little fine, and then they walk away. So it's always, buyer beware when it comes to the supplement industry. But yeah, as a professional, you have to be careful, because something this small, I mean, this could have tarnished his legacy, and and really a big portion of the sport, because he is the guy right now that it's a big pay-per-view draw. So I think we need to have that responsibility towards ourselves and our camp, and towards the sport as well, and how we carry ourselves and what we take.
Fantastic stuff, guys. Luis and Abner, thank you guys for joining the show. June 9th is going down at Staples Center once again. Can we get a prediction?
Abner Mares win. Abner Mares winning. That's it.
Team Mares, do you guys see it any other way? Because I don't.
I'm not going to argue with that. Not going to argue with it. I expect a fantastic fight just like the first one.
Thank you.
So everybody out there, tune in June 9th, going down, like I said, on Staples Center. Abner Mares, Diaz Santa Cruz, going down once again. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for your time, Abner. One of the coolest pound-for-pound men in boxing. Thanks for always showing me love from day one. When I was a young whippersnapper a couple years ago. But man, Abner always made time for you, boy, out in Vegas at the Mayweather fights.
Always, man, always. And thank you guys for giving us this space and this time. I really appreciate it. And again, do not miss my fight, Leo Santa Cruz Mares, June 9th, Staples Center, showtime.
To it. Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, making his Slip and Dip debut, one of the Golden Boy shining stars, Joseph JoJo Diaz. Thanks for coming on the show, Joseph.
Oh, no, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Man, been waiting trying to get you on for the last couple months. How's training going for that big fight against Mr. Gary Russell Jr.?
Oh, it's going really well, man. We kind of figured that we're going to be fighting Gary Russell Jr., so we actually had a 10-week training camp in preparations for this fight. We actually didn't get the notice that we're going to be fighting May 19th until about 7 weeks out. So we're in training camp knowing that we were going to fight Gary Russell, but we kind of knew that they're probably going to be playing games and wait till the last minute to try to get us, like unprepared or whatever they want to think. But we kind of already figured that since I was a mandatory that we're going to be fighting him. So I've been training very hard. My preparation is going good. I'm actually at Trader Joe's right now. My strength conditioning coach, he's getting some meals for me to cook for me for the rest of the remaining of the camp and stuff. So it's going well, man. We're very excited for this fight.
So what are you going to do to negate that speed, since he has one of the fastest hands at boxing?
Yeah, you know what? We know that he's very fast, but I'm able to – that's the thing about me. I'm able to adapt to any certain style. And I feel like I sparred with Rashid Warren in the amateurs, and his speed was really fast, but I was able to adapt to it and land my perfect timing shots. And I feel like with Gary Russell, he is fast, but I feel like my timing is everything, and my timing is going to be one of the key factors to my victory. And not only that, the game plan that I'm going to go into the fight, I'm going to be very aggressive, have great conditioning, and push Gary to the point where he's never been pushed before.
Did you learn anything from the Lomachenko fight that he fought?
Yeah, actually I did. I actually learned a lot. I seen that he has a lot of flaws. Whenever he wants to throw combinations, he tends to drop his hands. So when he throws his left hand, he drops his right hand. When he throws his right hand, he drops his left hand because he relies on his speed too much. So I feel like when he's throwing those shots, that's when the openings are going to be occurring. And I also feel like with Lomachenko, Gary Russell got tired after the 6th round. But I feel like Lomachenko, if he would have had more experience as a professional fighter, he would have stopped Gary Russell. But since it was only his third or fourth fight as a professional fighter, I feel like he was still a little nervous and didn't want to put that pressure on him because he was still a little cautious in there. But like I said, I feel like Gary Russell, he had a lot of flaws in that fight, and I'm not relying everything on that fight. I know Gary Russell, he's training and preparing differently because he don't want to lose again. But we know what he's capable of doing. We know what his flaws are.
Absolutely. So you guys had a little press conference the other day. I mean, I saw in the stare down as he was kind of pointing to the belt. He was kind of saying something to you. What was he saying while he was looking at while you were looking at the belt?
Oh yeah, because he was just like, yeah, and he was like, you see this belt, and then right when he said, you see this belt, I was like, yeah, that's mine pretty soon. And after, like, he just stood quiet, and then he gave me that mean mug look, like, okay, we'll see. And then he was like, all right, and after he just turned around, and then we ended up taking pictures and stuff. But it's cool, man. It's cool knowing that I finally got I wouldn't say I have a live dog because all my other opponents were a live dog, but it's cool knowing that I have a guy in front of me that has a fan base and that has a good amateur background and a good resume, because it's going to make me push myself to the limits and in training, but not only that, inside the actual fight as well. It's gonna be a very exciting fight, man. I can't wait for this fight.
I mean, obviously the excitement's there. I mean, this title shot, everything like that. I mean, do you feel any extra pressure coming into this fight because of that, or is it just, are you excited for the opportunity more so than being nervous about it being like the first opportunity like this?
Oh no, I mean, I'm excited for the opportunity, but of course there's a lot of pressure, man. This is my first world title shot. Not only is it my first world title shot, I'm fighting Gary Russell Jr., the most feared 126-pounder right now in the division. And not only that, I'm fighting in his hometown. So I know that there's a lot of pressure, but I'm able to deal with pressure, and I'm able to cope with it and make sure that pressure, thinking about that pressure, it's not making me stressful or anything like that. It's making me more focused and more determined, and focusing on the game plan and focusing on my training and my preparation for that. When it is time to actually fight, I won't have no worries, or I won't have no doubts. All I know is just me and Gary Russell inside that ring, and I'm gonna come out victorious.
What do you think about the fact that Golden Boy, when people say that Golden Boy had no choice but to give you this fight because of the whole Canelo situation, and the fact that you're not fighting on HBO, you're fighting on Showtime?
Oh yeah, that's all just rumors and all talks. Golden Boy they didn't choose this fight because of Canelo. I personally wanted to be fighting Gary Russell about 3 fights ago. I've been telling Oscar De La Hoya, my manager Ralph Heredia, Robert Diaz, that I wanted to fight Gary Russell during the Canelo Chavez Jr. fight. I wanted to fight him at that time and at that very moment in my career. So all that other stuff that because of Canelo and stuff, that's all just rumors and just all fans just talking and speaking nonsense. I personally wanted to fight Gary Russell since about 2-3 fights ago. So I don't think it's any of that. It's just that now Gary Russell has to fight me. He has no other choice but to fight the mandatory. He can't fight no volunteers or anything because WBC Shaking the Body, they scheduled that he must fight me by May or June. So now he has to take the fight. So it's not that Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, they wanted to take that fight. It's because I personally wanted it. Me and my team, we wanted it. And as far as the Showtime HBO, it's just that HBO didn't want. I guess they didn't want to pay for the licensing fee and stuff like that. But I think it's a good thing that we're fighting on Showtime, because now Oscar De La Hoya and Al Heyman, they're starting to work together again, and it's cool that knowing that me and Gary Russell are the fighters that are bringing that back together. So it's kind of like history in the making if the fights start happening again with Oscar De La Hoya and Al Heyman, and mixing Showtime and HBO with the fighters and stuff. So I'm very excited to be just a part of this whole event.
Thanks for setting that straight, man, because we got these hardcore boxing fans that be talking crazy, and it's good to have somebody that's a direct source that knows the real deal.
Oh yeah. It's just all just the boxing fans on Twitter and Instagram just talking what they personally believe and what they think that is actually happening, but none of that's actually happening. I personally wanted to fight Gary Russell. I've been calling Gary Russell out for about 2-3 fights already, so it's not that it was a mandatory that we had to take this fight because Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, they missed the Canelo fight. It's not like that. It's because Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, Robert Diaz, my team, they all have faith in me, and they all believe that I could beat Gary Russell when they see my past performances. So they've seen that I've been improving every single fight, not only with my ring intelligence, but with my strength, my speed, my accuracy, my timing, everything. So right now I feel like it's the perfect time to fight Gary Russell.
You said a minute ago, going into his hometown for this fight. How much does that, come into your into your thought process about how you approach the fight, because we just had Abner Mares on, and I asked him the same question because he's fighting in his hometown. So how much does like the location of the fight matter to you?
You know what? I think it matters for the champion. I mean, if I was a champion, I said this in the press conference too, that Gary Russell, he is a champion, and that's what champions do. Whenever they have a bout, of course they're going to be fighting in front of the whole town and in front of their fans, because they deserve that, and that's what they want to do. They want to fight in the whole towns and give the fight fans what they want to see. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Gary Russell fighting in his hometown, and I'm okay fighting at his hometown because I am the opponent in this occasion and in this bout. So once I get that title, then I'm gonna be fighting in my hometowns. But I feel like there's no pressure at all. Gary Russell, he has a good following, but I feel like I'm gonna have fans there as well. It's not like I don't have fans in the East Coast. I think I'm gonna have fans in Maryland as well cheering me on at the arena, and it's just gonna be an exciting fight because at the end of the day, I have tunnel vision. I don't let what the fans are, what the crowd is saying get to me. I honestly block everything out. The only voices that I hear are my corner's instructions, my father's voice, my strength conditioning coach's voice, and Ben Lara as well. Those are the only voices I hear come fight night. So all I know is that Gary Russell, his fans and his family and stuff, they're not going to do anything inside that ring. And personally, I know from personal experiences that when I am the hometown favorite, it's really not a big deal. It's just knowing that you're more happy and you're more satisfied because you have your hometown and your family and everybody cheering you on. So that just gives you more, motivation, and it makes you more happy inside that ring.
There's also something to it about the other angle, like you're rolling into another king's village and trying to take his throne.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing, man. And I am going in there, man. I'm going in there, guns hot, with the freaking sword and blade ready, with my shield on, and I'm freaking going over there and taking Gary Russell's throne, man. I'm 100% confident in my capabilities and what I'm capable of doing. I feel like I'm Gary Russell's. I personally feel like I'm Gary Russell's toughest fight. Yeah, he fought Lomachenko, but he fought Lomachenko in his early professional career when he was only 3 to 4 fights in. So he didn't have that professional experience and that professional boxing IQ like he does now. I feel like if Lomachenko were to fight Gary Russell now, it would be a whole different story. Lomachenko would really hurt Gary Russell Jr. because now he has that professional ring generalship, that more experience, and he's a hungry fighter. And with me, I already have all that ring experience. I'm still young. I'm 25 years old. This is my first world title shot. I'm very hungry. I'm very eager. So I feel like I'm the most dangerous fight Gary Russell is getting put up against. And if you don't believe that, and if he thinks that I don't have the boxing IQ or the speed or the power to back it up, he's in for a rude awakening come fight night, man. I'm really gonna shock him if he honestly believes that.
I do have a question. Like you talking about Lomachenko, like we always see Lomachenko, posting up all these videos of doing like these like timing drills with like the light boards and everything like that. Do you do any of that kind of stuff in your training?
No, not to that extent where like it's all like computerized and stuff like that. I don't do that, but yeah, that's too high technology for me, man. I just do with the tennis balls, and I do with the hand-eye coordinations, all that other stuff with the band work and stuff. But I don't go to the extent where I'm gonna freaking have a computer laptop on the damn wall and touching the red dots on the wall, man. I'm gonna stay away from that.
Here's a two-part question. What do you think he's coming in overconfident? Because he was on Showtime talking a gang of shit a couple weeks ago on that telecast, and when y'all had y'all face off, it seemed like he's like trying to like bully you, but he's like half your size.
Oh yeah, but because I was, I'll take a picture check. Yeah, because I was actually at my house watching the telecast, and I was watching him talk. And when he was talking to all that stuff that he was saying, that he was an apex predator and all that stuff, I was honestly laughing. But I wasn't laughing at what he was saying. I was personally laughing at what Earl Spence's like face, what he was making. Like he was actually looking at him like, man, dude, do you honestly believe that? And I actually wrote to Earl Spence and stuff, and he was all laughing, cracking up and stuff like that. He was like, man, just go out there and do your thing and stuff. So when I actually seen Gary Russell, for the first time at the press conference, he come up to me. He's like, yeah, you ready? And I just stood up and told him, what's up, Gary, man? How you doing? Yeah, I'm ready for this. Let's get it on and stuff. And then we actually started the press conference, and he was a little more quiet. He wasn't as cocky and confident when we were in person. So I think it's more of like him trying to build himself up and make him more confident, and try to make him feel like I'm a light fight and I'm a light test, because deep down inside he honestly knows that I'm a real tough opponent, and I'm gonna freaking give him bust a lip come fight night.
What do you think about? What do you think about this? We talked to Abner earlier in the show. He said he gives you the edge because you've been more active. Because Gary fights like once every 2 years.
Yeah, and I appreciate Abner saying that, man, because Abner Modest is a great fighter, and I've known Abner Modest since the amateurs and stuff, and just to know that he's saying that I have the upper hand because I am more active, it gives me motivation, and because he is an elite athlete and he knows the boxing. So just to say that I have the upper hand, it's more motivation to me, man. It's gonna make me push a lot harder, and I personally think it is true. I mean, But I personally don't think it's because of the activity of me staying consistent inside the ring. I think more of I'm more hungry. I'm still young. I'm more active. But Gary Russell, he's getting older and he's fighting less and less and less, and that's not good for his body because he is getting older. He needs to practice getting his heart rate going, all that stuff. So I feel like all that is going to pay dividends come fight night.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. A couple little southpaws going at it. It's gonna be a damn good fight, for sure. Big opportunity for you, my man, coming up with that championship opportunity. So, like I said, rolling into another King's Village, trying to take his throne.
Oh, I know, man. And then he said that he was gonna knock me out within 4 or 5 rounds. So I like to see that, man. I like to see how he's actually gonna come fighting. I think. I personally think he's going to try to brawl with me. I think he's going to sit there in the pocket, but I think once he starts feeling my punches, he's going to start, being more cautious and being more aware and trying to fight on the outside. But me and my father, we're coming up with a good game plan, cutting off the ring, making sure that we're staying consistent. We're staying throwing 100, 150 punches a round, throwing hard shots, keeping consistent, keeping at a good pace every single fight, every single round. So if the fight goes 12 rounds, we're going to be 100% ready, but I don't think it's going to go 12 rounds. I think someone's going to get knocked out.
Okay. So what's your official prediction then?
I think my official prediction, I'm not gonna call a round, but I personally think I'm going to overwhelm him, get him to the point where he's never been before, get him to the point where he's gasping for air. He's so tired that his arms are going to just be to his knees. He's going to be breathing very hard, and his corner's either going to stop it or he's going to end up just taking a knee and saying no mas.
Have you thought about the moment you hear your name and new champion of the world?
Oh man, dude! Every single night, man, when I'm in the shower, I'm always screaming that. I'm like, and new. I'm trying to say it like the Michael Buffer voice, but I forgot Jimmy Lennon Jr. is going to be saying this, so I got to start saying it like Jimmy Lennon.
You got to visualize, right? That's a big thing. A lot of guys, they try to visualize the whole process, right?
Oh, exactly, because that makes you more hungry and that makes you more motivated. You got to visualize the success, and then once you start visualizing it, it's going to happen in reality. So I'm constantly visualizing success. Even when I'm working out, before I even work out, I visualize me getting the workout done, me putting in 7 miles, and then I get the 7 miles done. So it's just all about visualizing your success, and then it's going to turn into reality.
So, I mean, I guess, obviously, we don't know, how the fight is going to play out, obviously, because it hadn't happened yet. But, I mean, do you have an idea of how many times you want to fight this year after this one?
Yeah, after this fight, if everything goes well and I don't get any cuts or any injuries on my body and stuff, I want to fight again in September. And hopefully, if another world titleist at 126 pounds wants to unify the titles in September, then I would love to do that. I think Canelo's going to be fighting in September, so maybe we could find a fight of unification with another 126-pounder on the Canelo bout in September. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, then I want to fight in December again. But I want to make sure that the fans, the boxing fans, and everybody, all the boxing fans that watch and enjoy boxing, I want to make sure that they have an active 126 WBC pound fighter, man. I want to be very active, not only for myself, but for the fight fans as well, because I love boxing. So why sit on the shelf for a whole year, only fight once a year, man? I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that I'm very active, fighting three times a year, and fighting the best fighters out there.
How disappointed were you with the whole Canelo Triple G craziness? Because that indirectly cut into your paycheck.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gonna be my paycheck at all, man. I'm very fortunate that Golden Boy Promotions, my manager Rafa Heredia, and the whole Golden Boy staff, they're treating me well. They've been treating me well ever since I was just started the career, man. They're making me happy, and that's what truly matters. They got to make the fighters happy before they could go out there and perform at the best. And Golden Boy, they know that I'm 100% dedicated to my craft. Whenever I'm in training camp, I put in all the work, so they don't mind, taking care of me and making sure that I'm okay, because they know that I'm getting the job done and I'm putting in the work come fight night. So I know after this fight, man, it's going to be a whole different story. It's going to be life changing. I'm going to be able to, help my parents out a lot more, change my community, and make sure that I'm inspiring the youth and building more foundations and charity events and stuff after this fight.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Joseph, man, I appreciate the time, man. Coming to us live from at Trader Joe's.
Yeah, getting all the fruits, man. The mashed potato, red potatoes, all the good stuff, man. So we're getting ready for this guy, man.
Man, I was stocking up for a couple of weeks there. What was that?
Yeah. This is about like 2 weeks right here, man.
Okay, yeah. Trader Joe's is good stuff, man.
It's really good.
It go down.
Absolutely.
After 3 weeks from the night go down, I can tell you already ready.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely, man. I'm 100% ready already. If the fight was tomorrow, man, we'd be ready to kick Gary Russell's ass tomorrow night.
Absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, man. The Slip and Dip Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to the fight, man.
Thanks, Matthew, man. I really appreciate it, and thanks, Kendrick. Thanks for getting that to me and reaching out to me, and not only reaching out to me, reaching out to my manager, man. You guys are great people, man, and good interviews all the time, man. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Me and JoJo go back to when he first started. I said, man, I see a future champion in you, man, and we've been cool since day one.
Yeah, and you're like, man, I gotta be your freaking video guy, man. I gotta be your interview guy. So once I get this title, bro, you gotta be around me 24/7, dude. Whenever we're at the Trader Joe's, all that stuff, man. We gotta get the inside scoop.
And he gonna have the money for it. Hey.
We gotta get it all done, man. We gotta freaking get that YouTube account, get that YouTube money, baby.
I'll be on there with you.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, man. You guys be safe, man. You guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the fights tonight.
For sure, man. Thanks for coming on, brother.